Welcome, ninjas, to the Coder Dojo. How is everyone today? Everyone ready to get spooky? So, we started this game last Thursday, and we programmed the ghosts to get closer to us. We programmed the flashlight to work. But we don't have a lot of other programming for the ghosts to fade away. We don't have the programming for the ghosts, their behavior, their AI. Oh, here we have a cat. Might have just seen a little... And we don't have a way of losing the game either, just like that happened just now. So if you were here for part 1, then that's great. You can continue working on the same project, the same Scratch project. And if you weren't, don't worry, because I will share you the code now. So, this is shared. So if you click on that link, that'll take you through to the code from part 1, and we can add on to it. Cool. So, I'll just go through a little bit of this code while we spend a few minutes just making sure everyone's here. And then, afterwards, we will get into it. So, just as a little reminder, remember to be cool in chat. And by being cool, I mean like be nice, don't be mean, that kind of thing. And there is some latency. So if you type into chat like a question that you have, or if you have a problem that you need solving, then the video of me talking about it is going to arrive at your computer on a delay. It's going to be a delay of like, I think like 15, 20 seconds, which might not sound like very long, but it feels like a really long time. So if you say something in chat like, Jonathan, my code is broken and won't work, and I don't respond straight away, don't worry, I'm not ignoring you. Just wait for the delay to catch up, and then you'll see my response to what you're saying. Another thing I haven't said in a little while, but if you're doing this live, I recommend you, if you can, try having this on 2 screens. So if you've got like a TV in the house that can display YouTube, or you can have this stream up on an iPad or something like that. And then that way, if you're doing your work on like a laptop or a computer, that way you can kind of see what I'm doing, and you can see like, what I'm explaining, and at the same time you can still work on your project. And obviously, that's not always possible, so don't stress if that's not possible. But if it is possible, I think it makes it a bit easier. If you're watching this not live, then it's very easy, because you can just pause me and come back. But yeah, when you're doing it live, not having the pause button makes things quite a bit different. So, let's have a little bit of a look through some of the code that I've linked to you. So we've got this darkness sprite here. If we go into costumes, we can see that there's like a really little gap in the sprite, and then everything else is colored in black. So what actually happens is you have this little sort of view, this little torchlight looks like, and everything else is all covered up. So you've got this cool kind of torchlight effect. And you have to do a bit of a hack to make this work, to make the sprite get big enough to cover up the entire screen when you're moving it around. And if you're interested in that, then go and watch part 1 if you haven't already, and then I explain that. And that's really useful. It's a very useful little workaround for one of Scratch's little limitations. There's also following around the hole in the darkness, and you can see it when I stop the project. You can see that there's this red circle that's following around the darkness. Now this basically sits over, so both of these things follow around your mouse, I should say. That's what they do all the time. The darkness, it forever goes through the mouse pointer, and so does this red circle called torch. It forever goes to the mouse pointer, which is kind of obvious. I move my mouse around, you can probably see that on your screen. These things are following it around. And this red torch has what's called a ghost effect applied to it. It's kind of funny if you think about it, but that ghost effect just basically makes the torch, and it's set to 100%, so it sort of sets the sprite to being invisible, but the code can still interact with it for things like collision. So let's go to the ghost code. Now, what you should have so far in the ghost code should be very, very simple. You've got when green flag clicked, you've hide, set the size to 1%. Set size to 1%. So these ghosts start out very, very small. They go to a random place on the screen. See if we can find one. And then they get bigger. And that's all they do so far. So it kind of looks like they're coming towards you, doesn't it? Kind of looks like they're coming towards you. They're not. They're getting bigger. But it gives this illusion of the ghosts coming towards you in the screen. And so, yeah, that's all the ghosts do so far. And that's what this code does here. When I start as clone, we have the original ghost sprite. It moves around the screen, and it creates clones of itself, and those clones just get bigger, and then they stop. That's how far we got last time. So I think we're ready to make a beginning. So make sure you're nice and comfortable. You're ready to do some coding. And we're going to add some behaviors to this ghost. So have a bit of a look at this version, which is the more complete version, and tell me what things the ghosts are doing, or just have a think about it. So yeah, you can see. So first of all, the ghost's animating. Its arms are kind of going up and down like that, right? So it's sort of animating. And the other thing that's happening is the more that we hold the torch on it, the more kind of invisible it becomes. It kind of goes see-through, it goes transparent. And, oh, this one might get us. Also, if we don't find a ghost, if it gets big enough, then we lose the game. The game stops. And the other thing that we have these ghosts doing is when we hold the torch on them for a while, they try to dodge the torch. So we've got all these different interesting AI behaviors, and we're going to do them one at a time. So I'm going to move my code across there so that we're both starting off in the same place. That's all good. And if you are taking part in chat, just remember, if you do need some help, make sure that you've shared your project on Scratch, and make sure that you remind me of what your Scratch name is, so that I can find you and look up your project. Okay, so that's looking good. So first of all, let's have a look at this piece of code here when I start as clone. Have a look at this. So far, this only does very little. It just makes the size go up 100 times and then it stops. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make it so that if the ghost can get to a certain size, you've lost the game. So let's program that in, shall we? So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take out this repeat 100. Just drag that off to the side for the moment. We don't need that. But we need the change size by 1, so bring that back. Okay? So what we're going to do is instead of going repeat 100, we're going to go repeat until. So this might be a little bit unnecessary, but I like it, and it's going to show you a bit more. It's going to show you a better way of doing things. It's just good coding practice to actually check that the ghosts are getting as big as they should be before we end the game. So everyone go to Control, the orange category on the left there, drag out repeat until. It's sort of towards the end-ish, sort of in the middle towards the end, you should find repeat until, and then a little six-sided shape next to repeat until. Then what we're going to do is we're going to drag this change size by into the repeat until. Okay? So we're going to change our size by 1. And how much are we going to do this? Let's do it until we get to a certain size. So what we need to go to operators first. Let's go to operators, the green category on the left there, and look for, you should start to see sort of in the middle these six-sided shapes with 2 slots and then either a little arrow pointing right, an arrow pointing left, or an equals sign. What we want is the first of these 3, which is the arrow pointing towards the right, towards the 50. If you can see it on my screen, and this is the symbol for more than. We want to check to see if this ghost has grown to a certain size or even bigger. So to check our ghost's size, we're going to go to looks. So once you've dragged out that the more than operator, drag that out and put it next to the repeat until. Go to looks and have a bit of a look down the looks category to the very bottom. You should see there's a little size circular sort of little line of code there. This is actually technically a variable with some baked-in functionality. This keeps track of how big your sprites are. So we're kind of treating this basically as a variable. So we drag out size and put it in the first slot of our more than operator. And you can decide if you want to change this later, but for now, I found 120 was a good size. So 100 is kind of like the default size. It's like a percentage, 100% of a sprite. So if you set it down to 1%, it's really tiny. If you set it up to 100%, it's about the same size that it sort of starts off as, and 120% is larger. Hey, how's it going, AD and AJ? Nice to have you here. If you've got your project, we haven't done too much. We're just in the ghost sprite so far. So, look for when I start as clone. You should now have show repeat until size more than 120, change size by 1. Okay, so let's look at what that code does. It should be pretty simple. It should be pretty similar to what we had before. These ghosts, they grow to a certain size, and that size is 120. That's how big they get. So if you want them to grow bigger, all you need to do is change this repeat until size greater than. And the speed at which they grow is dictated by this number, change size by 1. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but they're actually growing very quickly. They're getting really big, really fast. So let's make that a little bit slower. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at change size by 1. That should be inside your repeat until. Click on that 1 and 0.5. Change that. I think you're the only people in chat at the moment, AD and AJ. Yes. It's going to be a quiet one. We can do some nice focused coding today. All right. So we've got this code, repeat until size greater than 120, change size by 0.5. So your ghost isn't working. So you've got to remind me which scratch name you have, and you've got to tell me, and also if you can tell me what's not working. Hey, Richard, nice to have you here. So let's have a quick look. Now it's normally yo-yo cake. Have a quick look at my messages. So let's have a look at profile. Let's have a look at yo-yo cake. It is yo-yo cake. Good, got it right. All right, so ghost game. Here we go. See inside. Let's see if we can fix yo-yo cake's problem. So there's two problems, and I believe I pointed these out last time as well. So let's have a look. See. When I start as clone, show, repeat. Okay. So you have repeat, not repeat until. So that's one thing you need to fix. Yo-yo cake. Look under when I start as clone, show. You've got repeat, and then normally you put in a number, like repeat 10 times or 20 times. But instead you've got the size more than 120. So Scratch is like, I don't know how that works. That's not a number. So you've got to say repeat until size more than 20. So that's one thing you need to change. Also, another thing you need to change, this isn't super important, but have a look at your coordinates in your forever code. Go to x, pick random, minus 200 to 20. If you change that 20 to 200, it will spawn on both left and right sides. It'll be a bit more mirrored. I think that's just a typo. That's fine. All right, so that should fix your problem. Change this repeat into a repeat until. Should be fixed. All righty. So back to our ghost code. Back to the lesson. So we should have repeat until size more than 120. Change size by, and I'm going to say 0.5, just so they grow a little slower. Now the reason I point this stuff out is, hopefully, this means that you can come back and go, I want my ghosts to grow really big, and you can figure out, you'll remember which number you need to change to make that happen. Or I want my ghosts to grow really slowly or really fast, and you'll know which number to change to make that happen. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a sneak peek to the different behaviors that we are going to be using. I'm going to give you some my blocks. So this repeat 100 over here on the right, we don't need it. Let's go to the middle left of the screen, the red category, and click on my blocks. And then let's click on make a block. So everyone go to my blocks and click on make a block. And the first one that we are going to call this is take damage. So just type in take damage. You should have a little define take damage and a little red take damage code there. So just move the define take damage off to the right. We're going to put something inside that soon. And grab the little take damage from the top left corner and put that underneath change size by 0.5. I'll just give you a bit of time to do that. Oh, thank you, Richard. Very kind of you to say so. I try my best. Thank you very much. I have fun with these. I enjoy them, and it doesn't bother me, how many people watch them, because a lot of people watch them afterwards, actually, which is quite nice. Yeah, I always worry that because it's live and there's times when I spend time talking with the chat that I'm not sure, is this interesting for people watching afterwards? But yeah, it's quite nice. I'm glad. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to create another my block. So top left corner, click on make a block, that gray button, make a block. This time we're going to call this animate. So these are functions. Press OK. I'm going to grab this define animate, move it off to the side, and we're going to put animate just underneath take damage. And then for the final one, we're going to click on Make a Block and call this Game Over. So we should now have our 3 defines, our define take damage, define animate, define game over. And in the top left corner, you should have a little game over. Drag that out. Now put this on the very bottom after the repeat until. So our repeat until grows our ghosts to a certain size. If they ever do reach that certain size, and we're going to have ways of deleting them before they can get that big. But if they do get that big, the game will be over. And the nice thing about breaking up the code this way, using these my blocks, is that they're basically in this case sort of behaving like functions. We put a bunch of stuff inside the define take damage, and it runs all of that every time we say take damage. It's also just a good way of me setting out this code so that you can understand what each piece of code does, and then when you come back to it, you can go, I want to change the way that the ghosts animate, or I want to create my own game over screen. You know exactly where to go, and you can make those changes. All right, so first of all, let's do the really easy one. If we have enough time, and I suspect we won't, we might do something a bit more complicated, but let's just put something underneath game over. We're just going to go very, very simple for now, and if you want in your time, you can add more stuff to this, like a game over screen and all sorts of things if you like, or a jump scare, if you like that kind of thing. So go to Control, the orange category on the left, Control, and look towards the end for Stop All. Grab out Stop All and put it underneath Define Game Over. So now, when it runs the Game Over my block, all it's going to do is stop everything, which is fine. And if you want to put more stuff to happen before that, like jump scares, game over screens, that kind of thing, you can later. So now what we're going to do, once we've done that, we've got our stop all underneath game over. Let's figure out our take damage. Actually, no, let's do animate, because that's even easier. There could be other ways that you can, so again, we're going to do something nice and simple here. So what we're going to do is, so everyone click on costumes with me. Click on costumes of your ghost sprite. Now, we've got 4 costumes here, and the first 3 costumes are kind of interesting in that they're all kind of the ghost kind of looking quite similar, and the last costume is the ghost moving in a certain direction. So what we're going to do is to animate, we're going to make the ghost flicker between costume 1, 2, and 3. So to do that, we'll do something very simple. We're going to go to Looks. Everyone click on Looks, the purple category in the top left corner, and grab out Switch Costume 2. So that's sort of near the top, sort of in the middle. Switch Costume 2, it's 5 lines down. Grab that out and put it underneath Define Animate. Okay? So we've got Switch Costume 2, and then what we're going to do, so in my case it says Switch Costume to Ghost D. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a random number generator in here so that it always goes randomly to one of the first 3 costumes. Thankfully, if we put a number in here, it will look for the number of the costume that random number generator creates. So how do we create random number generators? We go to Operators, the green category on the left, and we drag out Pick Random 1 to 10 and put that inside the costume. So it should now say Switch Costume to Pick Random 1 to 10, but we only want to pick random 1 to 3. So click on that 10 and select 3. So this is and that's it. Very simple. We we should now have the ghosts should be flicking between some costumes, and if they get big enough, the game is over. So everyone just test that for me. Yeah, and you should have these ghosts kind of flickering around, and when they get to a certain size, the game stops, and you have that little red circle thing appear. So that's what we should have so far. And you can do some more clever stuff with animation if you want, but I'm just going to keep it there for now. So now we're going to get to the really interesting bit. We're going to put in some cool AI for what happens when the ghosts take damage. And when I say take damage, the way that I envisage it is that holding the flashlight over them kind of makes the ghosts kind of disappear. So they're allergic to light. That's the plan. All right, so everyone have a look at your define take damage. So to start off with, this is why I made the torch sprite. It's so that we can check to see if the ghost is touching it. So everyone go to events, not events, control, although they are next to each other and they're very similar colors. So everyone go to control and look for if then. Drag out the if then and put it underneath define take damage. So the question that we need to be asking is, are we touching the torch? Are we touching this sprite here, torch? So if you already know the code that we need, write it in chat now. If you don't know, hold tight, I'm about to tell you. Get your answers in now for the code that we need next. First clue, it's in sensing. Sensing, the light blue category on the left. Click on that. And then what you need to get is the first line that you see there, touching mouse pointer. And you notice it's a six-sided little jewel shape, which means it fits just nicely between the if and then. So now we have if touching mouse pointer, then. But we don't care about touching the mouse pointer. What do we care about? Touching the torch. So click on that little white triangle there, and you can see that you can select a few different things. We're going to click on the torch. So now you should have if touching torch, then. So, first thing we're going to do is we are going to use our ghost effect again, which we used before. Now I understand this is a bit confusing because I have ghost sprites and also Scratch has a ghost effect. So if you're a bit confused about that, just ask me in chat and I can clarify. So to get that, we're going to go to looks, the second category, the dark purple one, and then look sort of in the middle, and you should find something that says change color effect by 25. Doesn't say anything about ghost yet, does it? But you can notice that the color has a little white triangle. Click on that, select ghost, bring it out, and put it inside the if touching torch. So if touching torch, then change ghost effect by, and we'll just say 1. So if we get the ghost effect to 100, they become completely invisible. Okay? So yeah, if the ghost effect changes by, it goes all the way to 100, they become completely invisible. So let's see if this works. So click on go, give it a test. Now when you hold your torch over a ghost, it should slowly fade away. Now you still lose the game because it's because we haven't built in a way of deleting the clone, and so it still grows and you still lose. But we should have this fading away working, okay? This ghost should sort of become more and more transparent the more you hold the light over it. Nice. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make some variables. We're actually going to make 2 variables. The first variable is a variable that's going to keep track of how much, I'm going to call it HP, So that's like in video game terminology, that's like hit points or health points. And it's once you lose all of them, you're meant to be like, destroyed. So we're going to create a variable called HP for the ghosts. And we have to do it in a very specific way. So what we have to do is we have to go to variables, and you have to look in the top left corner and click on make a variable. Click on that for me now. So once you've clicked on make a variable in the variables, the dark orange category, you should have this new variable name. Now we have two options here. Well, we have three, but let's just talk about two. For all sprites is an option, or for this sprite only is an option. So we need to make sure that this is for this sprite only. And this is going, because the reason is we need a variable to be made for each cloned ghost. They can't share the same variable, otherwise when you dissolve one ghost, when it runs out of HP, all the ghosts are destroyed, because that's how variables work. No, we want there to be an individual variable for each of the ghosts, so call it for this sprite only. We don't want it to be for all sprites. So I'm just going to call this HP. H and P. So now we should have in the top left corner of your game screen a little thing that says ghost:HP. So that's good. So what we need to do is we need to decide how much HP our ghosts have when they start as clones. So have a bit of a look in set. So have a look in the top left corner of variables. Drag out set HP to 0. Now we want this to happen at the very beginning of the clone's life, when the clone starts, when it starts as clone. So put this right underneath when I start as clone. Drag out set HP to 0. Now you can change this if you want, but I think I found I quite liked having 75 as the amount of HP a ghost has before it disappears, deletes itself, and doesn't make us lose the game. So set HP to 75. Now we need to do another variable, and this variable is going to be a timer that will decide when the ghost wants to dodge your flashlight. So click on make a variable, the exact same thing we did for HP. Make sure you click on for this sprite only, because we need to make sure that each individual cloned ghost has its own variable, its own dodge timer, and its own HP. And call this dodge timer. Perhaps the terminology of timer is a little bit weird there, because it's only going to tick down when we hold the flashlight on the ghost for a while. So you can rename this to something else later if you find that name confusing. But if you're not sure where this is going yet, then just make sure that you create a variable called set dodge timer, just like I did just there. So now you should have two variables, one called ghost :HP and ghost :dodge timer. So grab out set dodge timer to 0 and put that also just underneath when I start as clone, or just underneath set HP to 75. So you should now have our two variables being set just when the clone is made. Okay? So we set our HP to 75 and we set our dodge timer to 0. So let's have a look and see how these are going to work. So we've got underneath taking damage, we've got if touching torch, then first of all we make the ghost go more transparent with change ghost effect. Now let's do some stuff with our variables. So grab out change dodge timer by 1 and put that right underneath change ghost effect by 1. And then grab out another change variable by 1. So you should have two change dodge timers by ones right underneath each other, underneath change ghost effect by one. But this second one, the second change dodge timer, change that to HP and change the 1 to -1. So we're going to make the dodge timer go up the longer we hold the torch on the ghost. And we're going to make the HP go down the longer we hold the torch on the ghost. So first of all, let's put a piece of code in that makes sure that deletes the ghost if they ever lose all of their HP. So let's go to control and look for if then. Drag the if then out and put it underneath change HP by -1. Okay, so you should now have this if then right underneath change HP by -1. And so we need to ask the question, is the HP less than 1, so 0 or even lower than 0? And if so, delete this clone. So how do we do that? Type that out in text in the chat if you think you have a good idea. I'll give you just a moment to do that. What are we going to put in between our if then? What's between the if and the then? And if you don't know, sit tight. I'm about to tell you. Okay. All right. I've given you some time now, so hopefully you've got your answers in. So we're going to go to operators. So do you remember how we used more than before? Look for where the operators that are more than, less than, equal to. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 6 from the top. That's the more than. Look for the one underneath it. That's less than. Drag out that operator. Drag out the less than operator. It's the arrow that's pointing to the left, pointing towards the empty socket, not the 50. So we've got less than. So then what we need to do is we need to go to variables, because what are we checking? What do we need to know? Is the HP less than 1? So go to variables, look for HP, it's the second from the top, drag that out and put it in the first slot. And then it says 50. We don't want it to be 50, we want it to be 1. So the question that it's going to ask there is, has the HP of this individual ghost gone to 0 or lower than 0, less than 1? And then, when it does, we are going to delete this clone. Go to Control, the orange category in the middle of the categories, and look for, at the very bottom, delete this clone. And put that inside the if HP less than 1, then. So now we have if HP less than 1, then delete this clone. Makes sense, right? You run out of HP, you delete the clone. Let's test it. They're not going to dodge yet, but they should be animating, and we should find that if we hold our torch over the ghost for a while, they should disappear. You'll notice that they sort of fade and fade and fade, and then pop, go away. How's everyone going with that? Any problems? That all seems to be working pretty well for me. That's good. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to code in a bit of code. I'm going to use some code to make the ghosts try and dodge the flashlight. We're going to create some AI here. Simple AI, but AI nonetheless. And I say AI in a game terminology rather than a computer science terminology. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this in another my block. So if everyone's good with that, if everyone's got it working, if it's behaving itself and the ghosts disappear every time like you hold the torch over them for a while, then what we can do is we go to My Blocks, the red category. We click on Make a Block, top left corner, and we're going to call this Dodge. So everyone go to My Blocks, click Make a Block, type in Dodge, and press Enter. So now you should have this define Dodge floating around somewhere. And in the top left corner, you've got a little mini Dodge function. So grab out that little Dodge block, put it just after, put it sort of right in between those two kind of orange lines at the bottom. So if you're looking at my screen, you'll see what I mean. You want it to be after the entire if HP less than 1, then delete this clone. You want the dodge to be after that. You only want them to dodge if they're still alive, not deleted. So, and then move a little define dodge over here. So if everyone's got that, let's have a look and see what code we want for our dodge variable. Not dodge variable, for our dodge code. So, let's have a look, see here. Great. So first of all, we need to check something. So you remember how we made this dodge timer? So we need to decide at what point do the ghosts try and dodge. So let's get out an if, grab out an if then, and let's do a check on our dodge timer variable. Remember, this number is going to be going up, and the ghosts are going to delete them, and the HP, which goes down about 75 times before the ghosts delete. So I reckon let's ask the question if the dodge timer is over 50. So we need to go if dodge timer more than 50, then do all this stuff. So remember, we go to operators. Which way is more than? Does everyone remember? Put the answer in chat. If you don't know the answer, have a look at my screen. I'm going to show you here. It's this one here. The symbol for more than is the arrow pointing towards the 50. The arrow pointing to the right. The arrow pointing to the larger number, so to speak. So then we go to variables. We get out dodge timer, that first line should be, and put it in the first socket of our more than operator. And 50 is fine, funnily enough. If dodge timer is more than 50, we need to decide what the ghost is going to do. So first of all, just in case you want the ghost to dodge more than once. So, because remember, I want you to be able to change these numbers. I've said 50, but you could say 10. You want the ghost to dodge almost immediately and dodge multiple times. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that the dodge timer gets reset back to 0. So that's the first thing that we're going to do, is going to grab out set dodge timer to 0. So it starts counting up again. And this will also stop it from dodging continually. Because once the dodge timer goes up to 50, and it's like, right, time to dodge, it will keep dodging unless we tell it to stop dodging. So we've now got set dodge timer to 0 as our first thing. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to looks, and do you remember those costumes? We had our first 3 costumes as the first 3 ghosts, and then this one looks like it's sort of running away. So we're going to go to looks, the dark purple category, and we're going to look for switch costume to ghost D. Grab that out, switch costume to ghost D, and put it right underneath set dodge timer to 0. So now I've got switch costume to ghost D. Make sure it says ghost D. And you'll notice if you look in costumes, they all have names: Ghost A, Ghost B, Ghost C, and Ghost D. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make them point in a random direction. So let's go to motion. And what we want is we want them to point in a random direction. So there isn't an easy way of doing this without using another, what's the word I'm looking for? Pick random number. So get out point in direction 90. That's like in the middle of these codes, point in direction 90. Drag that out and put it right underneath switch costume to ghost D. But instead of pointing in random direction 90, which is right, we're going to make it so that this number changes. Now, I don't know if you've done much geometry in school yet, but there are 360 degrees in all directions, the way that we decide how to do geometry. So there's a nice easy way of doing this. If there are 360 degrees, then all we need to do is go to operators, drag out pick random 1 to 10, put that inside point in direction, and we can make it pick random 1 to 360. And I think that should work. The way that Scratch does degrees is a little confusing. Well, not confusing. It basically says all the degrees on the half on the right side of all the directions that you can be. That's 1 all the way down to 180, and the other side is -1 all the way down to -180. So the other thing that you could do is say -180 to 180. But I think 1 to 360 will work. I'd be interested to know if you disagree with that, because I could be wrong there. But either way should work. So either put pick random 1 to 360, or pick random -180 to 180. All right, either one should work. So let's look at repeat. Let's go to control, because we're going to make them go in a certain direction for a little while. And so to do that, we're going to get a repeat. We're going to go to control and look for repeat 10 and put it right underneath point in direction pick random. I think 10 is fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in just something nice and simple. We're going to go to motion, the dark blue category. We can grab out move 10 steps. And then we're going to look towards the bottom. You'll notice there's a nice bit of code that's called if on edge bounce. Drag that out as well. That's quite nice, because it means that they'll bounce off of walls and that kind of thing. And once we've got all of this in, let's test it. Now, you'll probably notice that something weird happens. And you might be fine with it. So what's happening that's a little bit weird, in your opinion, after they dodge? The dodging is working quite nicely. Oh, dodged in different directions. I like that. So do you notice, well, after they dodge, they're kind of like, sometimes they're kind of upside down or sideways. And that's because they're still pointing in the direction that they dodged. There is a nice, easy way to fix this. Oh, I died. There is a nice, easy way to fix this. So, is that working for everyone so far, aside from them going slightly upside down? Let me know if anything's not working and I can help you. So all we need to do is make sure that we change the rotation style of our ghost. So look for set rotation style. It's near the bottom of the blue move codes. You should already be in motion, the dark blue category. Look near the bottom and you'll find set rotation style. And it should say left, right. Drag that out and put it right underneath when I start as clone. So set rotation style to left, right. The counters are working, Richard. They don't look like they're working in that they don't go up on the screen, but they are working because if they weren't, then the ghosts wouldn't be behaving in that way. So yeah, and that's to do with the variables being what are called local variables rather than global variables. So they're any variable that's for this sprite only, that variable won't update because there's actually because there's an individual ghost HP variable and ghost dodge timer variable for each of these ghosts, and you can see that there are more than one on screen at once. So there's actually multiple variables. One is being made, these variables are being like specially made for each of the ghosts and then retired when the little ghost clones are deleted. So it looks like they're not updating, but they are, don't worry. Hopefully that makes sense. And if you want, you can go to variables and just untick the variables so that we can't see them. So if you've got your set rotation style to left, right, then what should happen is there you are. When they dodge, they should sort of not end up going upside down or sideways and that kind of thing. So that's everything. How did everyone go? Is it all working? Anyone run into any problems? Does anyone have any good ideas for what you would like to do to this project to make it your own? Because I've left you a lot of space. I've left you a lot of things that you can change if you want. So for example, do the ghosts dodge far enough for you? If you want them to dodge faster, or if you want them to dodge further, like keep going for a longer period of time, what numbers would you change? Where in the code would you change that? Have a bit of a think about it. Feel free to put the answers in chat now if you want to put forward what you think. How would you change how fast the ghost dodge? How fast they move when they dodge? And then second question, how would you change how far they dodge, how far they go before they stop dodging you? AD says, I'm going to make a mythical ghost which gives you V-Bucks codes. Yeah, you could probably do that. If you wanted to give away the V-Bucks codes, you just make them talk them, wouldn't you? Like if you win the game, they would just say, and you'd have to type in all the V-Bucks codes. So, there we go. How did everyone go? I'll just do a refresh on Yo-Yo Cakes and see how far this has come along. Yeah, HP, dodge timer. Nice. Hey, looking good. Looking very good. Well done. Let's give this a heart and a star. So yeah, that's basically the other things that you could do is you could add in a scoring system whereby you can the longer you survive, the more score you accumulate, and there could be a high score. You could put in a menu screen. There's all sorts of things you could put in. So yeah, should be really good. hope you've had fun with this one. I quite liked this one. This is I don't know, this is one that I'm particularly proud of because I actually haven't seen anyone else do something like this with Scratch. I made a game like this before with a different style of torchlight, where I'll bring it up briefly actually. So with this torchlight trick, which people often use to make large maps that you can walk around, I made this game here. Again, a torch that sort of spins around a character. So yeah, this is good fun. And so yeah, I think that sort of the applications for a possible horror game. Oh, it's a bit spooky. I was quite happy with that. I haven't seen anyone else on Scratch do that. I'm sure people have. I just haven't found it. But I thought this was a very interesting idea. So we are streaming every Tuesday and Thursday at the moment at 4 p.m. And we'll probably change that schedule. We're looking at starting up some coding events in the library after the next school holidays. Nothing set in stone yet, but just keep your eyes open. I'll let you know as soon as we have some concrete dates and some things that you can book in. Everything will have to be booked. We in the Coder Dojo in the past we didn't take bookings, but we're going to have to take bookings now for everything, just to keep track of everyone and make sure we don't end up with too many people in the room and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're looking for after school holidays. I'll be doing streams every Tuesday and Thursday for a little while, and then I'm away on holiday for a week, and I'll probably pre-record a video for you guys. And then I'll keep these going, maybe once a week. We'll see how we go. Maybe more often. We'll have to see how many in-person programs in the library that I'll be running. But yeah, for the time being, every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. And you can look at all the previous videos on the YouTube channel. The next stream on Thursday is going to be making Snake, the classic game. If you've had a Nokia phone or like an old school gaming console, you'll know what Snake is. So I'm looking forward to that one. We're doing that one on Thursday at 4 p.m. And you can always subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring the bell. There's my, YouTuber terrible thing I have to say. But if you do, then you'll get notifications of future live streams. And by all means, leave comments for what you want the future streams to cover. And if you have any questions or any things you want to work on, leave me a comment on a YouTube video, or send me a message through Scratch if you don't leave comments on YouTube videos, which is fine. You can send me a message through Scratch. I am Palethorn, P-A-L-E, Thorn, as in off of a bush, on Scratch, and you'll see my face as my account. That's me. You can send me messages if you've got any questions, or you want to show me some code that you've made, or you want any advice, or you just want to talk. That's all good. We've got some suggestions. Richard says we could add a counter for how many ghosts dodged. Yes, maybe that could be a good way of keeping track of the score. Where would you put that counter? I tell you where I would put it, right above delete this clone. Just above delete this clone, you could have a little variable that goes up each time and then that counts that that ghost is being dodged. So yeah, until I see you guys on Thursday at 4 p.m, stay awesome, be cool to each other, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas.